Welcome to the 263 Chart Show with me, your host, Faith Jorufura. And today we have a special guest in the building. We have MC Chita, one of the most elite hip-hop artists in the country. MC Chita, welcome to our show.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me, you know what I mean?
Thank you for coming through.
No, for real,
So
thanks.
let's get right into it. Tell us, who is MC Chita?
Well, MC Chita is just basically, he's a rap artist who represents the larger demographic of the Zimbabwean youth, or I'd say Zimbabwean urban youth. Yeah.
Okay, do you mind giving us maybe a brief background of yourself?
Well, I mean,
Maybe your name, MC Chita, where did you originate it from?
That's actually a funny story. Like, when I first got into the game and stuff like that, like, okay, my first name is Chita Desiro, or Chita for short and everything. So that's, my mom gave me that part and everything.
Okay.
But when I first got into the game, I was like really into like Wu-Tang and stuff like that. I was like, who was bumping? So the artists in those days, they all have funny names like Raekwon and Method Man. So I used to call myself Saitane.
Saitane.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people are like, what Saitane? You know, nothing to do with the devil or nothing like that. So there was this one, like I used to do a lot of club MC and everything. It's like one of the things which I used to do to try and make like a bit of extra money while I was putting my music together and stuff. So one of the club managers was doing a promotion and he was like trying to put like all the DJs like in a lineup. And so he comes up to me and he's like, yo, so what you call yourself? And I'm like, yo, Saitane, man. And he like, right, MC Chita. And just like that. Then the flyer went out and the rest is history.
And you went on with the name from then?
Yeah, basically.
Okay,
yeah, just stuck.
So when did your music career begin?
I'd say I got in when I was like quite young and everything. Like I was still a teenager. So the first artist I worked with was an artist called Brown Sugar. He had this album called Running Laps. So I did like an intro / like small rap on his album and stuff like that. I was back in like 2003. Then in 2004, I did my first solo project with Macastrator and stuff like that. It didn't really do too well, like, it didn't really break any boundaries and stuff like that. But I guess things really started kicking off, like, I guess commercially in 2007 with the album which I did called 2634, actually. Yeah, not 263.
263.
Yeah. It was this album called The Hustle, The Struggle, The Life, and everything like that. So with that, we had a couple of radio hits, Heavy Buns, which did quite well on air. There was a couple of other tracks, How We Get These Funds, which we also did a video for, and also played quite a bit on ZBC as well and stuff like that, and just progressed from there.
Okay. So you have been put like among one of Zimbabwe's most elite hip-hop artists.
Thank you.
Do you mind
That's an honor.
Maybe some of your achievements?
Well, I mean, I've won a couple of awards. In 2011, was it 2011 or 2011? I won the award for Best Hip Hop Album for an album which I did with Junior Brown called King's Rendezvous. Also won Best Collaboration as well. And what else did we win? Yeah, Best Album Cover. Yeah.
You don't remember your awards?
Hey man, there's quite a number. Then following year, like was it 2012 or 2013, won Best Collaboration again for a song called Power Cut with it was myself, Junior Brown, Metaphysics off Cynic's album as well. What else? Won the Chungamira Award for Best Male Artist in 2016. What else is there? That was quite a number. And then the nominations,
Plenty.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you write your first song? I was going to say it. I want you to say it yourself. When did you write your first song?
Oh, wow.
How old were you?
I think I was about 9.
9?
Yeah, I was 9 years old. Like, I don't know if you know Nas. Yeah, so he had this album called It Was Written. And it was like probably one of the first CDs first hip hop CDs I'd ever. Yeah, so like I'm a bit of a diplomat. Well, I'm a diplomat brat. So like my father was a diplomat and stuff. So we used to travel like a whole lot, like to different countries and stuff. So it was actually when we were living in the UK and everything, and there was this white boy at my school, like, and there was like this. Actually, let me explain it properly. There was like a school dance, right? So I used to break dance. I used to be into like pop locking and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like I think most rappers like at some point or another like did a bit of dance and stuff. So this white kid comes up to me and he's like, "Yo, but can you rap?" And I'm like, "Rap?" Like bear in mind I'm like 6, 7 years old at the time. So I'm like, "Rap? What's that?" And
it's like 6, 7 years and someone is asking you if you can rap?
Yeah. Like, I mean, he was my age as well. So, like, I guess he just assumed because I was black and I could break dance like that. Yeah, so.
Oh, so it was a race type of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, I'm like, huh, what's that? And, like, he starts spitting some MC Hammer lyrics. Like, my music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh, my God. And I'm like, my mouth just dropped. I was like, all right, cool, let me try that. And I'm like, and nothing could come out.
You tried to be better than him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because I didn't know that he didn't write that as well. Like, you know what I mean? I'd never heard of it. Like, okay, I'd heard of MC Hammer, but I didn't really pay attention to it. Like, you know, what he was saying exactly. So I was like, dang, like, you know, this is something which black people are supposed to be able to do. And, like, the white kid, like, you know, just showing me out here. So I was like,
felt like you're a disappointment to the black race.
Exactly, you know what I mean? So I was like, I was kind of pressured into it. So shout out to you, Jeremy, because, you know, if it wasn't for you, I'd probably be a doctor or something right now. You know what I mean? Aye, you know?
Okay, so now, since you're saying you probably would have been a doctor, please tell us about your education. You dropped out of college to pursue music.
Yeah.
How did that work out for you, and how is it still turning out now?
I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, for me, I've always been one of those people. I prefer to be into something which I'm passionate about. You know what I mean? I always believe, and I would even advise other people that you don't want to get into something if it's not something which you want to do or which you feel you should be doing, because you'll always be haunted by the ghosts of your dreams. You know what I mean? So I've managed to achieve like at least a certain degree of success in what I do and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie and say, yeah, you know what I mean, like it's best decision I ever made and stuff like that. But
considering that you're a diplomat, and too.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, trust me, they weren't happy about it. And I dropped out
I was going to ask, how did the family take it?
Well, I mean, it was a bit of beef. Like, yeah, like I had to learn how to grow up real fast, because I mean, like I was like in my 3rd year of university and stuff when I ended up dropping out, and like it was just like it was a decision which I chose to make. And it was one of those, okay, fine, I've made my bed and I'm going to lay in it. So my father was like one of those typical African fathers. So he's like, yo, if you're not being educated, then you're not staying in my house. And I was like, all right, cool.
And you left?
Yeah, and I left. Like, you know, moved out, like got my own place, started working as well. Like, you know, that's how I actually got into like even club MCing as well and stuff like that. Yeah, and you know, it was just balancing the two, trying to make money, trying to put out albums and stuff. And then, you know, like I believe that music has been able to expose me to a lot of things which I probably would have never seen if I had never made the decision to pursue music. Like I ended up like living in Jamaica for like 2 years. Like, you know, due to my music and stuff like that. Like, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was if I wasn't doing music. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I managed to share the stage with some of the biggest names in not just in the country but around the world or on the continent.
Big names like who?
There's Egyptian in Jamaica, who I've done a lot of work with. Chiching, also from Jamaica. Shared the stage with, like, we just did a show with Casper like a couple of weeks ago and stuff like that. There's like so many, man. There's Salif Keita from Mali. There's like, yeah, I could keep going. Tugu, obviously, yeah. You know what I mean? The list goes on, you know.
Okay, so can you tell us about your collaboration with Junior Brown? You guys collaborated for quite some time.
Yeah.
You're saying you won the best collaboration. And what else did you win?
Album of the year.
Junior Brown?
Album of the year.
Album of the year. How did that go and how long was it? How did you guys meet up and, you know,
well, I mean, Junior Brown and I, we'd known each other for a minute, like through the same circles and stuff like that. But I mean, we only really started kicking it like I guess around 2010. At this time, like my manager at the time and we were sharing a flat in Strathaven and everything. So actually at that time I had just started work on what came out to be Ambassador's Son, which the album Ambassador's Son, which had hits like Dandaro on it, etc. So around this time now, Junior Brown also started coming into the picture and everything. So like my manager was also working with him at the same time. So I mean, at first it was a bit tenuous, you know what I mean? Like, you're looking at another dude, it's like competition, stuff like that.
What is he
doing here exactly, you know what I mean? Then I think the first song we did together was a track called Yee Yee My Way and everything. So I just came to him with a concept, and then he like totally flipped the whole concept and the hook, etc. And the track became a smash. Like, when we started performing it, like, instantly people started acclimating to it, etc. Then we were like, we should try to do this again. Then we did another track. Then we were like, maybe we should try to do like an EP. And then we had like 4 tracks. And then it was like, no, let's try to do a mixtape. And we had like 8 tracks. And it was like, hey, you know what? To hell with it. Let's just do a whole album. And the whole time we were like staying with each other as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we in each other's spaces for like a good 7 days a week. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's how that whole
relationship came about.
Exactly. And we've just been brothers ever since,
That's cool. So you're not only an artist, you're a radio presenter, you've mentioned you've been a club MC, you're a songwriter, and you are a writer too.
Yeah. So novelist, actually, or aspiring novelist.
Okay, aspiring writer. So you're working on a novel and documentary.
Yes. Yeah.
Please tell us about that.
All right. Well, the novel, I'll start with the novel. It's called The Sangoma Murders.
The Sangoma
Murders.
Yeah,
it's like it's kind of like a horror story and everything like that. Yeah, it's basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to interpret, like, I've always felt that African culture and African folklore are one of the greatest stories never sold. They're told a lot. We hear a lot of ghost stories, but the Nigerians are doing their thing and stuff like that. But
you're trying to bring that perspective now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I really wanted to. So like with the Sangoma Murders, like, I mean, it's like the first part before a trilogy, which is like the trilogy would be called Tikamtanda, anything like that. So like with the Sangoma Murders, we like focusing on Muti killings and everything. So it's just a short story about, like, a short slasher story about Muti killings. Like, there's this Sangoma who's going around and she's like gathering ingredients for a spell, and our main character, who is this chick from who's an albino actually, and everything. So she's like loosely based on kind of like my own personal background as well, and as she's the child of a diplomat as well, but she's gone through, like, the whole Zimbabwean economic crisis has affected her and her family. So whereas she'd usually take a flight back from university, this time she's got to take like a bus or a combi, and this combi which she's in with a couple of her classmates as well ends up getting into a car accident in the middle of nowhere. And this is where the Sangoma is also lurking.
Coming in.
Yeah. And then being an albino, and the myth about albinos and their skin having magical properties, she becomes something which this Sangoma ends up focusing on. Yeah, so that's the whole synopsis. I don't want to give away too much and stuff, but that's the basic story. Then
the documentary?
The documentary, actually, it's just based on Zim hip-hop and stuff like that. Like, it's a chronological story of, like, the origins of Zim hip-hop, and as far as I can remember it. So we want to start it, like, from the days of Piece of Ebony and everything, which was like Chiwoniso, Tone Capone, and Metaphysics, and like kind of bringing it to current day settings. And what we want to try and do with this documentary is like ask certain questions, like, okay, fine, how successful can Zim hip hop be? Why hasn't it become as successful?
That was going to lead me to my next question, that your thoughts on the music industry. considering that you're saying your documentary is going to be looking back from Chiwonisa's time
Yeah.
to the current. What do you think should be changed? What is missing in the hip-hop industry, or basically the music industry in Zimbabwe?
I think
Just continuing from what you were saying about your documentary.
Well, I mean, personally, I don't know if I've got all the answers. I mean, because that's one of the things which this documentary hopes to actually achieve, like to try and find out some of these answers. But I mean, I do have certain ideas. Like, for instance, I think in the first place there needs to be an industry. Like, for the longest time, there hasn't been an industry. Like, when you talk about industry, you're talking about several people playing several different roles, like, you know what I mean, like helping something move forward. But then, like, you find with the local music, with the Zimbabwean music industry, especially with the hip-hop industry, a lot of us are our own producers, our own managers, our own promoters, our own booking agents, our own lawyers, even though we don't got no law degree. Like, yeah, that's really one of the biggest, like, problems and stuff like that. Though that has started changing and evolving, but you know, I think that's one thing which could change like a bit faster. But then also saying that, though, there's been a lot of changes. There's a big difference between what's happening nowadays and what's been happening when I first got into the industry and stuff like that. When I first got in, there wasn't any SoundCloud. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't any like big social media thing. I think, like, the internet was there, but it, like, you know what I mean, it wasn't something which everybody had access
so
to.
Hyped up like now.
Yeah, exactly. If we wanted to push our music, we had to actually print physical CDs and then go around looking for the right people to get to play our music and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's so easy to push your music, and it's almost like you're competing on the same sort of stages and levels as people internationally. It's no longer just, okay, fine, you're just making music for a niche market in a small country which very few people know about. Now, you put your music online, virtually anybody and everybody has got access to it. It just really depends on how you decide to push it.
100%.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe those are like some of the reasons why other artists become their own managers, their own lawyers, their own everything?
I mean, it's the trend even internationally. Like, I mean, being an independent artist is now the trend. Like, you hear a lot of people, like, in the States, like, you got people like Macklemore, who, they're independent. Like, I mean, they only just recently got signed, but they started making money way before they were signed. There was, who's this, Lil Uzi Vert, who's like one of the biggest names out there now, like amongst the youth, the new school kids and stuff like that, Project Pat, etc. These people are artists who developed a fan base and developed a market before they got signed, and because of that, they were able to dictate the terms of their deals, etc. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, like I said, like, it's very different now. Like, it's very easy for me to get my music onto iTunes or onto Spotify or onto, whereas before, if I was going to say, oh yeah, I want to put out an album and expose it to as many people as possible, it will only really get as far as I could get. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Sounds really cool. So what are you working on now besides the novel and the documentary, music-wise?
We're just about to wrap up the second part. I've been working on a double CD, but I'm releasing it in two different parts. So I released the first part in October last year, 24th of October. It's called, the whole series is called I Chita but I Chita
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the I is a small letter. So what we did is we broke it into two parts. So part one is called Dinonzi Chitarisiro. And then part two, which I'm just about to release now, is Dini Chitarisiro. Yeah,
right.
Hence the I. Yeah.
Clearly you like talking about yourself, from the ambassador's son to I Chitarisiro, Dini Chitarisiro.
Yeah, well, I mean, I believe that's the realest. That's the realest I can be. Like, you know what I mean? I can't really get into this industry talking about other people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are always saying that, oh no, you need to make music which relates to the people, you need to make music which is real and stuff like that. But I can only speak from my perspective. I can only tell you stories which I have a certain knowledge over. Like, you know, if I was to if I was to do an album called The Life of Changarai, it would sound extremely shallow because I don't have any information on dude, like, you know. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so where do you see yourself? I really wanted to say in 10 years, but I thought maybe 10 years is a bit too far. In 5 years' time.
In 5 years' time, well, I see myself getting into doing a lot of artist management, like especially like I mean, there's already a couple of artists which I'm working with, like kind of more behind the scenes, not officially managing, but more like on an advisory sort of like perspective and everything like that. So that's really where I see it. Like also, yeah, I'll still be doing music. Definitely will still be doing music. I mean, I'm going to be doing music until either I'm dead or I get bored of it. Yeah, exactly.
And the writing?
Writing, definitely. There's a whole lot more projects which I've got, like, you know, ideas, concepts which I'm trying to do and stuff like that. Hopefully I would have finished the Tecumtanda trilogy as well. Yeah, so
I'm sure people will be looking forward to that one.
I don't know. Look out for that. That's gonna be crazy. Like, you know, wait till you read the opening scene of Sangoma Murders, and then you'll just know that it's about to get real. You know what I mean? But then, like, yeah, then also I want to get into movie production. Not necessarily acting. I think I'm a terrible actor. But yeah, no, I've tried acting before. I'm like, yeah. But I would, yeah, I'd love to do a lot of work behind the camera though, like, you know, production, film writing, etc., script writing and stuff like that. There's actually an idea which I'm trying to churn out with another friend of mine. It's actually based on like a true story. It's called Somi Gang, and it's based on train robbers during the apartheid era. Yeah, so it's kind of like a country western.
Like lots of action.
Yeah, no, hey, action's the way to go, man. Yo, I've never watched The Notebook, so like, yeah, it ain't my thing.
You've never watched The Notebook?
Nah. Oh, let me guess, that's your thing?
Not exactly, but almost everyone has watched The Notebook. So I thought, what? You've never watched The Notebook?
Nah, yo, hit us up in the comments section. Let us know if you watched that. Nah, it wasn't my thing, you know what I mean? Like, I think probably, like, I've seen a couple of chick flicks, but nah, I'm not really a chick flick person. Like, you know, I like, my genres are action, horror, and political drama.
Cool. So now I think we're done with hard questions, boring questions.
Yeah.
A bit personal stuff now.
Okay, cool. Knock yourself out.
Okay, so how many pairs of shoes do you have?
How many pairs? Oh, I've been doing a lot of shopping of late. So I think I've got like at least 8.
8?
Yeah.
No, you have 8 pairs of shoes only.
Yeah. That's quite a lot for me. Well, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, which I currently own. Like, are you talking about, like, in my lifetime? Like,
in your lifetime, or the ones in your wardrobe right now? The ones in your closet now?
The ones in my closet? Okay, fine. Like, the ones which I wear, there's about 8. But in my closet, there's probably at least 12, 14. Yeah. Yeah, about, yeah. Roughly.
That's different. I thought I was going to get I don't know how many shoes I have.
No, I'm not crazy like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, I like things, but
not that much.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm simple. You know what I mean?
Okay, so what car do you drive?
I used to drive a CRV, a Honda CRV. Now I'm on a Futorola.
Okay, and. This one's for the ladies who are going to be watching. Are you in a relationship?
I'm sorry, ladies, but yeah, currently I am. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I mean, because like, it's like phases. Like, I went through the whole being single phase and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It was fun while it lasted.
Want to explain?
Yeah, but I needs to, because I can already hear the sighs of disappointment. But you know, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like, now, yeah, I'm in a relationship now. I mean, it's been about 7-8 months. Yeah.
Cool stuff. So to conclude, maybe what can you say to maybe the youth, the upcoming youths who want to maybe venture into hip hop in Zimbabwe, and maybe just basically that words of advice, shout outs to anyone. And where can people follow you? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
All right, well, let's do the Facebook and Twitter. That's at MC Chita is one word, MCCHITA for all three, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Shout outs, I guess, shout out to the team, Uptown Music, Big Boy Business, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, shout out to the few kings as well, you know what I mean? Yeah, just basically everybody who worked with me on this project, you know what I mean? Like, I always say it was a group effort. Like, even though, yeah, it's my album, like, a lot of people contributed to this. And, yeah, look out for it, October 20th, man. Like, yeah, you're invited to the launch, by the way. Yeah, so
October 20th.
Yeah,
I'll be looking forward to that one.
Definitely. We got you a couple of drinks when you come through as well. If you drink.
Okay, so this was it from MC Chita and the 26 Richard Show.
And one last thing for everybody who's trying to get into this industry, right? One, make sure you're good at it. Like, don't bother getting into this business if you're not good at it, because you're just going to be wasting your time and your money, and you're just going to frustrate and disappoint yourself. But once you do find out that you're good at this, don't let anybody stop you from doing it. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. There are going to be times when it's going to be hard. There are going to be times when you're going to be frustrated. There are going to be times when you're just going to want to throw things out the window. Take a breath, sit down. Tomorrow's another day. Start again. Nothing can stop hard work and talent.
Thanks for the wisdom.
Welcome.
This was it from the 26 Richard Show, and today we had MC Chita, one of the hip-hopping artists in the country. Please do follow us on Facebook at 26 Richard, Twitter at 26 Richard, and Instagram at 26 Richard. This is it from me, your host, Faith Jorufura. Thank you.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.26richard.com. Follow us on Twitter at 26richard and like our Facebook page, 26richard.